Some of the shots from this year's Champion of Champions were so good, you could even argue that playing them was a little bit unfair. But which of these shots was the best shot of the entire tournament? To find out, I'm going to attempt to recreate all of them as accurately as possible in the fewest possible attempts. But we're beginning with one of the hardest shots of the lot from Mark Selby, as he manages to dig his way out of trouble here by potting a tough long red and backspinning the cue ball safe. If I want any chance of getting this shot right, I'm going to need to play it with maximum power and backspin, which makes playing the shot accurately incredibly difficult. So why am I playing this shot first then? Well, I'm attempting to recreate all 14 of ITV's Hotshots, which is their pick of the best shots of the tournament. However, I was struggling to even get close to this one until my 7th attempt when it just flew in the pocket. I could have been here for 20 or 30 shots for this one.
At least this next shot from Ryan Day looks like it's going to be a little bit easier.
But that's only in comparison to the previous shot, because their second pick, an awkward but crucial pot off the bulk cushion, is still going to be a challenge. And let's not forget that some of these shots are picked not just on their overall difficulty, but on the effect they had on the match as a whole. And this was definitely a crucial pot for Ryan. That said, I probably should have got a little bit quicker, but I was pretty happy with the result.
Luca Brecel's up next with what's clearly one of the best shots of the week, as he absolutely powers in the long red, getting the cue ball all the way back to bulk.
The good thing with this shot is it's not hard to explain what I have to do here. Strike the cue ball above centre and hit it as hard as I can. I was expecting this one to take a long time, so I was pretty happy to get it on my second attempt, even though I couldn't hit the ball any harder and it was still nowhere near hard enough.
On to Judd now with a cushion shot that at least looks like it's going to be a little bit easier.
This was also a crucial shot that helped Judd win the first frame against the in-form Mark Allen. However, this wasn't anywhere near as easy as I was expecting it to be. I didn't think it would be straightforward, but I was really surprised how much I was struggling to even pot the ball. Because of the power down the cushion, everything was staying out. When I eventually got it, I didn't quite get enough backspin on the cue ball, so I ended up way down the table, but I just didn't think I was going to be able to play it any better.
Another shot from Judd now, this time playing the snooker behind the black. Essentially, this was just a good way of killing off the frame against Mark Allen.
Mark already needed a snooker and had very nearly got one. He'd covered everything except the left-hand side of this red. Not being able to pot anything from this position, this was probably the only positive shot Judd could play. And for me, this was all about getting the speed right. When you play a slow shot over distance like this, it can roll off a bit if the table isn't true or you put a little bit of side spin on the cue ball. However, I finally got the hang of it on my third attempt and actually got the snooker. However, this wasn't quite in the same way Judd did it, so I had another go and got it more or less perfect.
Ronnie O'Sullivan's in a really awkward position on the pink, but he still manages to pot it into the yellow pocket.
I realised I was going to be a little bit in the way of the camera on this shot, so I set up another one on the table so you could see it from a different angle. So far the shots I've played have been really good choices, however this one was a little bit weaker. I was really pleased to get it on my first attempt, but I think there was even several better Ronnie shots than this.
Mink Nutcharut's having to dig down off the bulk cushion on the next shot in order to screw the cue ball back safe, but also manages to make the long pot into the corner pocket.
This is a similar shot to the Mark Selby one earlier, except the red's a little bit closer, and I think getting the pot's a little bit more crucial here because it's less likely it'll go safe. Either way, I was really happy to get a shot like this after just 3 attempts.
Zhao Xintong's next, and he's also screwing the cue ball back into bulk, but unfortunately for us, he's more or less playing an impossible plant at the same time.
I was a little bit unsure if I was going to be able to make the plant, let alone get enough backspin on the cue ball. However, after about 7 shots I managed to play it, but then realised I hadn't hit record on my camera. So I had to try again, but be aware I had played this shot already, so I kinda knew what I had to do. I knew I could nearly get enough spin on the cue ball, it was all about getting the angles right, and I finally got it on my 4th attempt, about the same as I had before. I just couldn't get back far enough.
We've got another Mink Nutcharut shot coming up after we find Emma, who's from Cardiff in Wales, which is in there.
This shot helped Mink to get back to only being 3-2 behind, and the match nearly went 3-all the following frame. Playing a shot that's so close to the cushion like this with enough power to get back for the blue is a little bit tricky. That said, there was definitely harder shots on this list. I was a little bit disappointed not to get this quicker, but 3 attempts isn't too bad.
We've got Zhao Xintong again now, getting this awkward looking thin cut into the green pocket.
I liked the look of this shot when I saw it because you have to play it really accurately to cut it the length of the table. However, when I tried it, I felt like it was a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be. But I still think it looks good with no other shot really being on, and I was still happy to get it after just 2 attempts.
Ronnie O'Sullivan's getting from blue to pink now with this really nice exhibition shot.
This was a really fascinating way of playing the shot because if you cut it in the middle pocket there was no way you could have held for the pink. To play this shot you have to run through off the side cushion with a little bit of left hand side. I hadn't really thought about this until I got to playing the shot and it made the pot a little bit harder. So I was pretty happy on my 3rd attempt when I finally potted it. I got twice across the table nicely for the pink, even though I did finish a little bit straight.
Judd Trump's attempting a plant that isn't anything like as difficult to play as the Zhao Xintong shot. However, it's still incredibly difficult to set a shot like this up.
And that's why I don't really like these types of shot, because it comes down less to my ability to play snooker and more to my ability to set up a plant. However, that must be pretty good because I got it on my 2nd attempt and the balls did roughly the same thing as they did for Judd.
Next up we have your standard Judd Trump exhibition shot as he blasts the cue ball once around the table to get back in position for the yellow.
I've attempted this several times before after Judd played similar shots at previous events. However, this one was incredibly straight. You usually want a little bit more angle than this, and that meant I had to play it with a lot of power, and that meant I kept missing the shot or not quite getting the cue ball going in the right direction. Eventually I got it right and surprised myself at how hard I hit it. It went even further than Judd's shot did.
Yet another Judd Trump shot now, this time in the final, where he desperately needs to get back across the table in order to make the clearance and get a frame on the board.
This was crucial at the time because this was the first real chance Judd had to win a frame. The difficulty I found with this shot was because the red was so close to the cue ball, I had to get my cue out the way, and that made it difficult to get enough backspin on the cue ball and get back across the other side of the table for the black. I occasionally found I was putting a little bit of side spin on the cue ball as well. I knew I could play it, it just took me longer than I expected to get it right. However, what was the more Judd Trump-like shot? This one, or the previous one where he spun the cue ball around the table for the yellow? I wasn't sure, but I think it's about time we find out. So cue the music.
The red was an essential shot to win the frame, whereas the black was just a silly exhibition shot. But that makes it more of a Judd Trump shot, so it's this week's winner. So for the results, 3rd place definitely goes to Luca Brecel with this ridiculously well-timed shot. The power he got behind this was impressive. 2nd place goes to Selby. I was really happy to get this as quickly as I did, especially as you had to screw all the way back into bulk. But first place definitely goes to Zhao Xintong. The distance between the plant and the fact that he screwed it all the way back into bulk makes it ridiculous.
They definitely missed a few shots off like these two from Ronnie. However, judging by the standard we usually see from the Hotshots, where it doesn't look like they've bothered to find any shots at all, this was definitely an improvement. However, I still think they could have done a little bit better, so if you want to see the shots I chose for the previous tournaments, have a look at these two. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.